What's up, Chris and Wayne? Chris, I have a story. It's not a Christian superstition, but just superstition. And it's me being absolutely awkward as a junior high boy. And so here's what happened. I used to have a basketball hoop in the backyard. And in my lonely, brooding days, I would go back there and I'd shoot baskets. And when I was shooting, I had this weird superstition that if I made a certain number of baskets, a certain love interest in junior high would somehow magically fall in love with me, or I'd have a better chance or something like that, as if my jump shot, unseen by anybody, was somehow a way to get into a girl's heart. So there's my weird superstition story. Again, it's not Christian related, but it's a superstition and it's pretty laughable, and I would never share this with the world. So that's why I recorded myself saying this. But building off of the superstition angle and going into the supernatural, I teach this class called Gothic Horror. I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but in this class we talk about ghosts and demons and all that good stuff. And I figured I would finally do some research into the Christian response to whether ghosts exist or not. So if you guys are ready for this, here's what I've discovered. So first I'm going to go with like the biblical basis for whether ghosts exist or not. And a lot of the stuff I found was actually pretty interesting. So, of course, in the Bible, there's the famous ghost story of Samuel and the Witch of Endor. And so she summons back the spirit of Samuel. And then in that moment, we could say that there's ghosts because she was able to summon back his spirit, right? You're probably thinking that this is probably disproof of the Bible being the word of God because they ripped off Star Wars. But I'm pretty sure that the Bible came first before Endor in Star Wars. What do I know? I'm just an English teacher. But that's the first one. The second one is actually two stories that are related to Jesus. And in the first one, he is walking on water out to the boat where his disciples are. And the disciples say, "Are you a ghost?" And Jesus' response isn't, "No, you idiots, ghosts don't exist." Instead, it's just, "No, it's just me." So I think that's an interesting proof that maybe ghosts are real, because Jesus never says in that moment, "Ghosts aren't real. What is wrong with you guys?" And the second one's like that. It's when Jesus returns to the disciples after the resurrection, and the disciples are like, "Oh my gosh, Jesus, are you a ghost?" And he says, "Touch my body. Do ghosts have flesh?" And again, he doesn't say, "You idiots, there's no such thing as ghosts." He just says, "If I was a ghost, you wouldn't be able to touch me." And so I think that those are two ironclad proofs that ghosts are real, in addition to the story of the ghost of Samuel. And since, I want to represent the Catholics well, I did a lot of research for this class and this kind of week-long lesson unit we have that's over break on ghosts and ghost stories. And so I researched a bunch of stuff from Catholic priests and various things within the church. And so the Catholic Church has a very interesting view of it in regards to ghosts versus demons. But they say ghosts could possibly exist. There's no official statement. They're saying that if they do exist, usually they are for a couple of reasons. One is they arrive for comfort, and sometimes it's saints appearing and it's supposed to give you guidance or encouragement or whatever it is. And then there's the ones who are souls and they're in purgatory, the Catholic belief of this kind of waiting ground before we go to the afterlife, to heaven. And those souls come in and they're asking for prayers or help in their state. And then I think there's a third one where it's essentially the bad ghost, where they are coming to warn you that if you don't change your life, kind of a Jacob Marley-esque situation, that if you see this kind of a ghost, then you need to heed their warnings because they've lived and died and seen the consequences of their behavior. And so that's a kind of a nutshell of what I think the Catholic teaching would be, though there's no official one. I don't think that I can actually say this is what the Catholic Church would say, but a bunch of priests who have kind of come with some ideas, and I think there's some guidance, but I don't know. I thought that was all really interesting about these different types of ghosts in their minds of what it looks like. And then when I looked at other sources, they would say things like ghosts are kind of either they're changes in temperature, or they're flashing lights, or a glow, or an orb, or if you do see a full person manifesting, they could be an imprint of some sort of strong emotion that happened in a place, which is why you have like haunted houses and things like that, where it's like some sort of spirit that's left behind because of something that happened in that place, whether it's good or bad. And so it could be the actual spirit, or just a weird, I don't know, Avatar or something like that. I don't know, I never saw the movie. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think ghosts exist? Have you encountered a ghost? I have a really good ghost story that just happened to me, but I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to save that for you guys when I see you in person, or maybe if you just convince me enough times and we get enough like push from our audience, dad, your wives, that I should share this story. But in the meanwhile, I wonder what you guys think.